All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number one. That is right, week number one of your 9489 class, which is your cultural heritage class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. J.S.K. Austin, and what we are going to do this week is a course overview. This one is going to be quite long. Hopefully I will try to make sure that the other check-in videos aren't going to be quite as long as this one, because this one, yeah, probably will go in upwards of about an hour, but you can speed these up. And the first thing I'm going to do after I introduce myself is show you how to speed these up. I'm from the rural South. I speak slowly, as you can see right now, but if you speed me up, then I won't be as painful to listen to if you decide to listen to these check-in videos. So the first thing we need to do again is to show you how to speed up the video, and I will show you how to do that right now. Hold on. All right, actually, give me one moment here because my recording software is being a little weird. Give me one moment. All right, so this is looking a little better. Okay, so let's say we have upload my videos to YouTube. Now, let's say that we do have a video that is uploaded to YouTube. In this case, I'm just going to use one of my favorite Isley Brothers songs just to quickly kind of run through this. So you can hear that, and that's the regular tempo. If you want to actually speed this up, you could come here to settings and go to playback speed, and really if you change it to 1.5 or 1.75, you'll still understand everything that I say. So watch how it speeds up now. You hear that tempo? Now listen. And that's how it works. So yes, in order to, if you're gonna check out the if you're gonna check out the check-in videos, which to be honest, the check-in videos don't necessarily help you do better in the class. There are two types of students basically. There is the student who just wants to get the A or complete the course and then they're done. So they just want to get in, get that grade and get out. And then there are those students who actually do want to have a dialogue, some sort of exchange with the professor, some sort of relationship, ongoing talk, whatever. The check-in videos are largely for the second type of student, the student that wants more than to just pass the class, but they want to get something out of the class. They want to have some sort of connection with the professor. Basically, there are some students who just feel that, hey, if I'm just going to, take a class without any interaction, then I could do that on something like Coursera or something like that. So they seek out, those particular students may seek out a professor who actually does something like this that allows there to be an ongoing conversation between the professor and the class. So if you want to watch these, you can. If you don't have to. And either way, hopefully and very likely you will get an A in the class if you try. So let's put it that way and let's go on to other things. All right, so yeah, the first thing we should do is just do a run through of the syllabus. What we're going to do is we're going to do a run through of the syllabus. After that, we are going to go ahead and look at the assignments in particular on their own, and then there'll be a few other housekeeping things that I try to talk to you about. Again, this will take probably about an hour, but if you speed it up, it's going to be more like 45 minutes, and it's optional, but hopefully after you view this, you will be a little more comfortable with the class, and you will, you'll be more comfortable with the class, feel you're prepared, and be ready to have an enjoyable experience, I very much hope. All right, so again, we are in ISSLT 9489, which is the Cultural Heritage class. And this is the first year that the class actually is permanently in the catalog. It used to be a 94110, a 9410, which are temporary classes that need to be kind of tried out to see if they will actually be successful before they're added to the catalog. The class has now been added to the catalog, so instead of 9410, it is now a 9489, and I created this class. So a little bit about me. Again, the name Dr. Jace, that's what people call me. Jason Austin is the real name. I am originally from Soul City, North Carolina. That is a real place. You can Google it. Founded by civil rights leader Fred McKissick. And it is near Rocky Mount, North Carolina. It is near the border of North Carolina and Virginia. All right. And so I got my I got my undergrad degree in English from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, master's degree from North Carolina Central University, which is the only historically black college or university, HBCU, that offers an accredited Library of Science degree. And I got my PhD in 2017 from the University of South Carolina. And their Library of Science program, for the PhDs at least, has a particular focus on cultural heritage. So that is why I was able to teach this class after taking that course and completing, well, not taking that course, but after completing that program that gave me kind of an emphasis area in cultural heritage. And I decided to take what I learned in the PhD program and combine it with a few things from my own mind and put this class together. And this is the only class of its type at any ALA accredited institution in the United States and Canada. So I'm the only one doing this as of right now, but hopefully other programs will follow suit. All right. And again, the reason I brought all that up is because, yes, I have an understanding of cultural heritage based on my PhD studies, but I also do want to say that I am still studying and doing things ongoing, and hopefully I'll be doing some things with an outfit called Missouri Humanities, and doing some things related to a concept that they call placemaking. And once I do that, hopefully I can integrate placemaking philosophies into the class, but I haven't finished my studies on that. But still, I think you're going to enjoy the class and get a lot out of it regardless. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is note that we do have 3 synchronous meetings, and those are going to be mandatory. I will be taking attendance, and they will count, I believe, for 3 points each. We actually will have to find a different speaker now on March the 20th. I was going to have Stuart Hines with UMKC come in and talk about GLAMA, which is the Gay Lesbian Archive of Mid-America. But Stuart has had a conflict come up, so I'll be looking for a different guest speaker for March the 20th. On February 14th, we'll be hearing from Stephanie Benjamin, who is an associate professor with the University of Tennessee, and she'll be talking to us about heritage tourism, and we'll have a module about heritage tourism a little bit later in the class, but it won't be when she comes along. But we have to kind of work with what we could use here. We kind of had to work with the schedule that Mizzou gave me, basically. And then on April the 24th, we will be hearing from Josh Shepard. And Josh Shepard is an associate professor at the University of Colorado Boulder, and he will be talking about the Library of Congress Sound Archive project. And I think you all will enjoy that as well. Hopefully I can get a speaker locked in really quickly for March the 20th. And all of these will be Wednesday nights from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Adjust for your time zone. I do reserve the right to change the syllabus, but I must give notices if I do so. Hopefully I will not have to. Class description. Cultural heritage has many definitions, but deals largely with the overarching legacy formed among a culture of people through such things as oral tradition and folklore, as well as artifacts, monuments, architecture, and literature. The Seminar in Cultural Heritage course, it is no longer a Seminar in Cultural Heritage. It is just a Cultural Heritage course, so I need to update that, and I'm sorry I missed it. But the Cultural Heritage course will introduce students to cultural heritage concepts and explore pressing contemporary topics on cultural heritage, such as the importance and value of heritage tourism, while cultural heritage is historically a target for military attacks and who merits commemoration in the public square. Again, I am Dr. Jace. You can reach me. The best way to reach me is by email, alstonj@missouri.edu. You can also call my office at 816-235-1875 if you do need to have a meeting with me in person. My office is in Kansas City on the campus of UMKC, and my office hours are by appointment. I can also Zoom with you if need be. So if you are in California or Michigan or Virginia or something like that, don't worry, you do not have to come all the way to Kansas City to meet me in person. I am not going to do that to you. All right, the course overview. There are many things that can fall under the umbrella of cultural heritage. A lot of things fall under that umbrella of cultural heritage. Most people think specifically about museums and archives, and these things are important and crucial to cultural heritage institutions, but the picture of cultural heritage is much, much broader. Cultural heritage includes a lot of things that people may not readily associate with the term, and this course will hopefully change that. Now, some of our assignments will be fitting for the ePortfolio. So you may want to save them. There are assignments that will line up with student learning outcome number 1, which is that graduates will apply the core principles, ethics, values, and body of knowledge to questions in library and information science according to their area of specialty. Assignments like that would include the visit to the heritage site and reflection. But this can also be used for SLO 4. Graduates will be able to assess community needs, formulate plans to respond to users of information agencies, and instruct users in using information resources. And the 4 cultural heritages paper would be a good submission for your SLO 4. Student learning outcome 4 for your ePortfolio. Okay, so you do have some assignments in here that do line up with the student learning outcomes. If you have technical issues, I am actually not who you want to start with or call. You actually want to reach out to the help desk, and their number is 573-882-5000 or tech support at missouri.edu. Library resources and e-reserves. Access to the library will be critical to your academic success. We do not have a textbook in this class, by the way, y'all, and that is on purpose. Everything that you should be able to, that you will need to access in order to be able to be successful in this class, you should be able to get either through the library or free on the web. Now, sometimes the library actually does lose they lose access to certain materials that I assign, and when that happens, just let me know, bring it to my attention either by email or by Canvas message or in the discussion board area, and I will remedy the situation as I see appropriate. All right, technical help is available again, call the help desk. All right, online class netiquette. And this is something that I have to abide by too. So your instructor and fellow students wish to foster a safe online learning environment, and all opinions and experiences, no matter how different or controversial they may be perceived, must be respected in the tolerant spirit of academic discourse. You are encouraged to comment, question, or critique an idea, but you are not to attack an individual. Our differences, some of which are outlined in the university's non-discrimination statement below, will add richness to this experience, to this learning experience. Please consider that sarcasm and humor can be misconstrued in online interactions and generate unintended disruptions. And working as a community of learners, we can build a polite and respectful course ambiance. And I will be expecting that of you all. It is okay to disagree. There will be times when you may disagree, but if you've had me in an intellectual freedom class, and I know several of you have, probably won't be disagreeing as much as you do in that class. But still, we talk about culture in this class, and there is a lot to discuss when you talk about culture. So yes, there may be points of disagreement that come up. All right, Zoom, we will be using Zoom for our live classes, so you need to get that if you have not already, but most of you probably already have. There is no textbook, and everything that you need as far as materials is in the modules. Here is our grading scale. If you get at least a 91, you will get an A. If you get an 81 to a 90, you will get a B. If you get a 71 to an 80, you'll get a C. And if you get a 0 to a 70, you will get an F. We do not award these to to graduate students, y'all. So if you get below that 71, I'm sorry, but you're failing the class. The instructor reserves the right to award pluses or minuses to any letter grade, with pluses offered for exceptional work within the letter grade and minuses awarded to substandard work within the letter grade. Missing sync sessions will affect your grade. Those who miss one sync session will be ineligible for a plus grade, and those who miss 2 sync sessions will get the minus grade for their grade range. In other words, if you earn a high A but miss a guest speaker, you'll be ineligible for the A plus. And if you miss 2 guest speakers, the highest grade you'll be able to get is an A minus. That is even if you do the extra credits. All right, and you'll see opportunities for extra credit on the discussion prompts. Late work will automatically be lowered by 25%. Assignments more than 3 days late will not be accepted unless prior arrangements were made. And if you have circumstances that affect your ability to complete assignments, please contact me at least 3 days in advance of the due date. I have that language in my syllabus for my own protection. That is why it's there. I am human. I know things come up. So yes, if you get sick, let me know. I will probably give you an extension. If you have a death of someone that you care about, let me know. I will probably give you an extension. And that is not just immediate family. I think that if I'm not mistaken, university policy actually grants you bereavement time for immediate family anyway that can't be taken by the professors. So like if your mom, dad, sister, brother, child dies, heaven forbid, then you are I think you're actually entitled to bereavement time through by the university. But even if it's not immediate family, if it's an uncle or aunt, if it's a friend, if it's a pet, if it's a cat or a dog, I get it. I get it. I've got a dog. I love him. I love my dog more than I love 90% of people. And when he dies, that is going to be a very sad day for me. So yes, I get it. Just talk to me. And it doesn't have to be something bad either. You've got family time planned with your family to go on a trip somewhere, and you're just like, hey, Dr. J.S., can I just concentrate on my family for the trip and not have to turn the assignment in on Sunday? I can get it to you Tuesday. If you say something to me like that, I'll probably work with you. If you get married one weekend, I'm not expecting you to get married Saturday and do your discussion board on Sunday. Just reach out to me. We'll work. Basically, reach out to me. Communicate with me. The worst I can tell you is no. And a lot of times, what I tell you won't be the worst that I can tell you. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, assignments and point values. So, syllabus quiz. You actually have that due on the really, it should be the 21st, but whatever. We're going to leave it at the 22nd now since that's what it says. So your syllabus quiz is going to be worth 1 point and due on January 22nd. You will have a midterm quiz as well, and that will be due on March the 22nd. That will be worth 4 points. Also worth 4 points is your attendance to the sync session with Dr. Steph Benjamin. On March the 20th, we will have a 3-point sync session, whoever I am able to get to replace Stewart. And on April the 24th, we will have our 3rd sync session, and that will be worth 3 points as well. And that will be for the Library of Congress Sound Archive Project. Mini interview with a cultural heritage worker, that will be due on March the 17th, and you will see that within the discussion board prompts. And that assignment is really meant to offer some vocational guidance to your classmates, right? So what I'll have you all do is do this mini interview with a cultural heritage worker. You're going to post those in a discussion area, and that way all of your classmates can see it. And then what your classmates are going to do is go back and look and see if they get ideas of potential other careers that they might want in cultural heritage and what they need to do to get there. Visit the Cultural Heritage site. That's going to be your first written paper. That's going to be due on February the 11th. A little bit later in the class, probably next week, actually, I will do a check-in video explaining to you all how to do your APA properly as far as 2 common mistakes that are made that I do count off on. I will give you all advance warning on those 2 mistakes. The top 4 cultural heritages papers were 15 points and due on April the 7th. And then you will have a final paper, which is an argument paper that will be due on May 6th and is worth 25 points. However, you can sub out. This is something that I need to mention right now because it's very important. For those of you who want to work on a heritage project, you can sub out, and I will mention this in an announcement as well. Announcements, by the way, are mandatory to read. I'll mention this in an announcement as well, and that way, if you do not watch the check-in videos, you will still get this information because, again, the announcements are required. But what I will allow you to do, if you would rather work on a cultural heritage project instead of do the final paper, and every semester I have about 5 students who decide to take this route. If you want to do that, that is totally cool. So, but what you will need to do is get in touch with me by February the 11th if this is what you want to do. So yeah, if you want to go ahead and for instance, some heritage projects that I've had people do or that people have done in the past. One student was already working on this and he was just like, can I make this my heritage project? And I said, sure. But he was doing a Missouri postcard digitization project where he was digitizing old Missouri postcards, putting them online and using Content DM, putting them online, making them accessible. And it was like kind of an online archive. And he was already working on that. So he was just like, well, Dr. J.S., can I just establish a benchmark for this project that I'm doing and have that be my cultural heritage assignment? I mean, my cultural heritage final as my heritage project. And I said, yes. Some other things that have been done. I've had a student design promotional materials for a museum. That definitely works. I've had a student do some sort of research within a cemetery. Yes, that definitely works. I can't remember now what that student did. I had a student do a genealogy project for her boyfriend. Yes, that works. So if your boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other does not know their genealogy, and you have access to something that can help them with their genealogy, like Ancestry or Heritage Quest or whatever, by all means, yes, just contact me and say, hey, I would like to do that as my heritage project instead of write the paper, and we can talk about that. So if you have any ideas for heritage projects between now and February the 11th, let me know and we will talk, and you will potentially be able to do that instead of the final paper, okay? Because I do like when people do things that actually help outside of the class, right? Like I might read your paper and be like, hey, this is great, and now I know things that I used to not know. But for instance, I'm gonna pick on the student that designed the promotional materials for the museum as an example. So she did that. And so now that museum, which is a small town museum that doesn't have a lot of resources and works with a volunteer staff, so they don't have a lot of money. And so when she made promotional materials for them for free, they were grateful, and that was something that helped outside the class. So if you can do stuff that helps outside the class, I think that is awesome. I think that is great, and I will encourage you to do it. All right. And then also discussion participation throughout the semester. 30 points because it's 15 discussion board prompts that are graded. All right, assignment submission instructions. Well, you all know how Canvas works and submitting those things to the portal. If you have any issues, that just let me know. And then these are some criteria that I use to kind of grade your and evaluate your discussion board prompts. But basically what I would just say, because that can get complicated. So what I'll just say to keep that in a nutshell is that, to keep that in a nutshell, what I'm going to say is if you are citing literature in your discussion board prompt, then you don't have to get your APA right in the discussion boards. Those are informal. But, you know, if you're citing materials, even if you're just saying according to such and such and not actually doing the formal in-text citation and that sort of thing, if it looks like you're thinking, if it looks like you interacted with the reading material, if you've done all those things, then yes, you will be fine and you will get your full participation points for your discussion board prompts, okay? Expectations. What to expect, I mean. This course is designed to meet virtually. It is essential that you access the course Monday through Friday for course announcements, interact with your small discussion board group, submit assignments, take online quizzes, etc. Reading course announcements is mandatory. It is in the syllabus, so I can hold you to it, though the announcements may have optional materials in them and probably will. They will be marked optional if they are optional. What the instructor and your peers expect of you by enrolling in this course. You have agreed to contribute to weekly discussions by accessing the discussion board regularly 2 to 3 times a week, Monday through Friday. This will require a team effort with respect to help for each, with respect and help for each other, and we build a community of learners. We also expect that you will have a foundational understanding of internet terms and functions. All general class correspondence should be submitted to the relevant discussion board forum, and only personal and confidential matters should be directed to the instructor. All right, what you may expect from the instructor: monitor and facilitate class discussions. That's what I am going to do. Respond to private questions, hopefully within 72 hours. If you do not hear from me within 72 hours, go ahead and get in contact with me again. There is a chance that I deleted your message, or by mistake, not on purpose, by mistake, that I deleted your message or that something else happened. Weekly schedule. Again, you're supposed to log in no fewer than 2 or 3 times a week. It would be my preference if what you all did was by Wednesday. This is a preference, but it's not something you're going to be graded on or penalized for. My preference is that you will have your original post up by Wednesday or Thursday, and then that you will respond to a classmate by Sunday night. I don't put the grades in until Monday morning, so as long as you get everything in by Sunday night, you're going to be fine. It's just that if everybody waits till Sunday, then there's nothing for people to respond to. So that's why I'm hoping that you'll get your original post up on Wednesday night or Thursday morning, so there's something for your classmates to respond to and get their other points. Okay. All right, pause. All right, so let's get into our weekly schedule and what we will be talking about every week. All right, so yeah, there we go. That's what I wanted to scroll down. So I will say that the course is front loaded with some really dry fundamental and foundational information toward the beginning. So for the first 3 weeks, I believe you're gonna have some things that are kind of dry. Let me see if it's the first two or the first three. Oh, well, I would say the first two. So the first two, your introduction to cultural heritage concepts, and then next week when you have preservation concerns and cultural heritage, I will acknowledge these are a little dry, and I've had the first semester that I taught this class, I had students say, "Hey, yo, those first 2 weeks are like really dry and really hard." And I was like, if you can make it through the first 2 weeks, then you got 13 weeks of just kind of being easy and kind of enjoying the content, if you ask me. But yes, in order to get to the stuff that you enjoy, in order to get to the stuff that's fun, you do have to get the foundational knowledge first. And so that is all front loaded in the first 2 weeks. So in the first week, yes, you have your things that help you with some of the key concepts. What is cultural heritage? Economic impacts of cultural heritage. Definition of cultural heritage properties, values, and relationships between tangible and intangible dimensions. I think that one was down at one point. Let me just make sure that one's up. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Yes, so that one's good. Okay, subtle power of intangible heritage in Cape Town, South Africa, and the ethics of cultural heritage. So you'll have that starting out. Then in week 2, we go to preservation concerns. So you'll see 5 issues threatening the destruction of cultural heritage sites, preserving Afghanistan's cultural heritage in wartime. So again, this is preservation, and a lot of people are at war right now. And one of the things that people are kind of accusing some of these entities of doing, specifically Russia in their war against Ukraine, Russia has taken out some Ukrainian cultural heritage. I don't know if it was sites or artifacts or what, but they took out something. I talked about it in the course last year. And yes, that is considered some would consider it a war crime. But what you want to do if you do want to illegitimize a culture and weaken a culture is go after their cultural heritage. So keep that in mind, and we'll have a module specifically about that. Inhabited past, monuments, authority, and the people of Delhi. Of national significance, politicizing the home movies of the U.S. national film registry, and this deals with preservation as well, and then protecting cultural landscapes, understanding old buildings, and cultural heritage authenticity, a producer's view. So these things inform your views, thoughts, and visions on preservation concerns. And then after that, I think things get a little more fun. So we start out with the 3 types of cultural heritage. We have a unit devoted to a module devoted to each one. Mainly when you talk to cultural heritage professionals, they say there are 3 types of cultural heritage, or 3 categories. You have the tangible, the intangible, and the natural/landscape. And so the reason why I start out with, even though tangible and intangible are a little more important, the reason why I start out with natural/landscape heritage is because after these first 2 modules, you do need something that is a little more easy, I think, something that's a little more laid back, because you're still wrestling with the content that you took in the first 2 weeks. So for week number 3, this is actually a lighter module. When you talk about landscape heritage, restoring national monuments, natural and cultural landscape heritage in Northern Friesland, and then also, and I love this video, it's produced by the South Carolina. I just call them I call them the cultural heritage people in South Carolina, but the natural resources and something conservation services maybe. And this is a video about life on St. Helena Island, and this video does a very good job of informing on the concept of landscape and natural heritage. And then you've also got a few optional things as well, or one optional thing. You do also have this reading here, making Mexico more Latin, national identity, statuary, and heritage in Mexico City's monuments to independence. You do have, this is a PBS special. talking about preservation of Indiana's architecture. All right. Week 4, we will take a look at tangible heritage, and our readings that week go on to, they inform that subject. Week 5, we talk about intangible heritage, and again, the readings for that week, well, the course materials, you've got video as well, they inform the closer look at intangible heritage. So by the time you get to week number 6, you are going to have a pretty good handle on preservation concerns and why it's important to preserve cultural heritage, as well as the distinctions between the 3 different types and why we categorize them that way. And again, the 3 types are tangible, intangible, and natural/landscape. All right, moving on. So I didn't mean to play that video up, and then I hit play when I didn't mean to. Okay, let's keep going before I do anything else weird. Week number 6. All right, so we're looking at February 19th now through the 25th. Week number 6 is when I feel it really starts getting fun, because now you're breaking into different types of like specific cultural heritage topics. First of all, my first semester teaching this, all the students were upset. I saw this in the course evaluation so many times, as far as students saying, hey, it would have been nice to have a cultural heritage music module. Because I was putting all the music stuff in with intangible heritage, because music is a form of intangible heritage, although the sheet music itself is a form of tangible heritage, as are the instruments and that sort of thing. But yes, music itself is intangible heritage, and I have made that its own module, so you will see that there, and you'll see associated readings with that. And then also you will watch a documentary that week and review the documentary. So we'll talk about that discussion board prompt a little better when it comes close to time. Week number 7, we'll talk about Indigenous peoples' concerns with cultural heritage. So we're talking a lot about ownership and identity, and who should be allowed to own and have access to cultural heritage, and what should be done with cultural heritage. The basic answer is the owners of cultural heritage can determine what they want done with it. So for instance, if Europeans want to, like, let's say Europeans got something from Ghana and they wanted to put it in a museum or something like that, and then that artifact was returned to Ghana, and Ghana didn't want to put it in a museum, they wanted to put it behind lock and key. There are some kind of colonial theorists who would be like, well, no, these artifacts should be shared. They should be preserved and shared so that other people can view them and learn about history and culture and so forth and so on. And I see the point, but I also believe that if the owning population, if the owning culture does want to protect it and not make it accessible to the outside world, they should have that right. All right, so we'll talk about things like that in week number 7, Indigenous peoples' concerns with cultural heritage. And when I say Indigenous people, I'm not specifically talking about Native Americans or people who are indigenous to the United States of America. When I say Indigenous people, I mean the people who all over the world have lived in that place before European colonization. So I'm thinking, yes, you're Cherokee and you're Navajo and you're Apache and you're Saponi people here in the U.S., but I'm also talking about the descendants of the Aztec people in Mexico. I'm talking about descendants of Inca in, I believe, South America. I'm talking about Black people in Africa. I'm talking about Aboriginals in Australia, and I'm talking about the people of Asia, East Asians, South Asians, whoever in those lands. And European colonization has happened in every continent, yes, including Antarctica. Actually, Chile has a little bit of colonization going on in Antarctica, but that is inspired by Spaniard endeavors. So yes, even Antarctica has been colonized to some extent, but to a very small extent. Okay, so indigenous people, yeah, that means the people who were in a particular place before Europeans showed up. All right, the hidden heritage of small town and local businesses. The objective here, and I know that we, people in this field, people in the library science field, tend to be very anti-capitalist. But when I talk about business in particular in this module, really what I'm talking about is small town business or local business, but businesses that contribute really to the identity of a place, and therefore take part in this thing that we call placemaking, right? So let's say that, well, I'll just use my hometown as an example. Well, not my hometown, but near my hometown, there is a town called Henderson, North Carolina. I'm from Soul City, North Carolina. Henderson, North Carolina is about 20 minutes away. In Henderson, they have a business called the Peanut Roastery. And this place has a long, specific history tied to Henderson, North Carolina. And people come from lots of other places in North Carolina and Virginia in order to actually get some peanuts from this place. And so that place has actually built or helped to build the unique identity of Henderson, North Carolina. And because these places, especially if you've got a local business that employs a lot of people and that sort of thing, yes, local businesses, especially local restaurants, but other local businesses as well, really, really help with the placemaking of a particular place. Now, I will say that your chains don't do that as much. And in fact, you'll see that the readings that I have here and this interview that you're going to watch part of, these things actually have a very biased view against chains coming in. So against your Walmarts and against your Targets and your Best Buys and all of that. You'll see that a little more as we get into those modules, and you've got some optional things there as well. But I love this article here, Cultural Heritage, Sustainable Development, and the Impacts of Craft Breweries. Yes, so many towns have breweries, and the breweries are just specific to those towns, and the locals love the breweries. And so breweries are a great example of a business that you can talk cultural heritage concepts about. Okay. All right, then we go on into week number 9, More Than a Resting Place, Cemeteries as Cultural Heritage Resources. And you've got assorted readings there. Actually, you got a lot of readings there, but you all will make it through it. You all are going to be just fine. Week number 10, Undermining Identity, Knowledge, and Culture. This is what I was talking about earlier. Why invaders and terror groups attack cultural heritage. This is very important, and it happens a lot. This is one of the more important modules in the class, and so it's actually kind of squeezed between cemeteries, and the next thing is the heritage tourism. So this is a very heavy topic. Like, this topic can get people pretty emotional. So what I wanted to do was have less emotional topics kind of sandwich it. So yeah, this won't be quite as emotional, even though it's cemeteries. Believe it or not, the cemetery unit won't be quite as emotional. And then the if you go down even further, the heritage tourism module, that will have some sticking points, I guess, that are of interest, but it won't be an emotional or an emotionally draining sort of topic. Then week number 12, from April the 8th to April the 14th, we have a module about Confederate commemoration. And really the reason why we have this module about Confederate commemoration is because the concept of Confederate commemoration actually does inform a lot of other naming controversies, and you'll see that with your final paper topic prompts. So we'll get into that in a few minutes. We can leave that for now. And then we scroll down, and there are a lot of readings there, but there are also a lot of optional readings. But what I want you all to realize with this, in case you're getting a little nervous, is that a lot of this stuff is like 1 page long. Like, this is a 1-page newspaper article, right? So it's not going to be as daunting as it feels. And then optional things, of course, if you don't have time, don't read them. But these things can be useful for your final paper, especially if you decide to write about the Confederacy specifically for your final paper, okay? All right, now week 13, we go on to women and commemoration and other elements of cultural heritage. And the reason why we do this is because, quite frankly, and you're going to see this illustrated a lot better within this module, a lot, if not most, cultural heritage workers are women, and yet cultural heritage is lacking, especially in the United States, but probably throughout the world. Cultural heritage is lacking as far as its commemoration of important women, and so we're going to talk about that. And I'll just go say here, what we need to do is correct this wrong. We need to get more women commemorated, and we need to appreciate better the contributions that women have made to the society. And so that's why this module was included. This module was not in the first iteration of this class, but In addition to switching a few other things around, I was just like, look, you've got to do something to, this doesn't fix the problem, but it's one small part of fixing the problem, is letting my students know that this issue exists, and so their work may be able to counter this issue in the future. Okay. And I do think you all will especially like the interview that I did with Dr. Alexandria Russell. She has a Black Women's Commemoration Project. That was her dissertation, and she talks a bit about that in our main video for that week. And there are quite a few optional readings there as well. And then we get into, because those two, Confederate and then sexism and those sorts of things, those are heavy topics. So then we get into a light topic on April the 22nd, and that's going to be food as cultural heritage. And you're going to have first of all, if you all have not seen Black Cake, which will be a 3-minute excerpt from the, it's a TV miniseries on Hulu called Black Cake. If you've not seen it, I highly recommend it. Very good. My wife and I watched it together. She loves it. I love it. But they had something that was very relevant to the cultural heritage unit. So I added that. I just recorded it and added it and popped it in. And then also you will have Edible Identities. You will read the introduction and 3 chapters from the Edible Identities book, which is available through the Mizzou Library. You will not need to buy this book. Just, again, log on and access it. And then also there is the optional, I really like this, Winemaking in Missouri, a Well-Cultivated History. Especially if you're from Missouri, it might be of interest to you. And since I work for the state of Missouri, I do have a bit of a Missouri focus in this class, even though I'm not from here originally. And then finally, Forgotten Heritage. There are a lot of other heritage topics that we can get into, including games and that sort of thing. Because even games and competition like sports, there is cultural heritage elements tied to that. Certainly the Olympics makes it more obvious. But we've only got 15 weeks, so you'll be dealing with Forgotten Heritage within week 15, and that will include things like some of the Forgotten Heritage within the United States here, as well as explaining some of the effects that colonialism has had on losing some of our heritage throughout the world. All right, so moving on, and I'm going to try to wrap this up within the next 20 minutes, but we'll see. I appreciate your patience. So again, help is available. I don't know why they make me put that in my syllabus twice, but they do. Decreasing the risk of COVID-19. This really isn't as important as it was back in 2020. We're in 2024 now. People these days, a lot of times are, just they're taking medicine or getting the shot or whatever. And so I don't think the COVID issues are as prominent as they were even in 2022. Right? Academic integrity, don't cheat. We'll leave it at that. Academic inquiry, course discussion, and privacy. I will respect your privacy. You respect mine. You respect your classmates' privacy as well. Do not share anything that happened in this course outside of the course that will expose your classmates to the outside world outside of this course. So for instance, if you don't like something that your classmate says, don't screenshot it and put it online and try to dox your classmate. I will fucking fail you if you do that. Don't do it. FERPA, I again will respect your privacy. I will not do anything to you that will violate your FERPA rights, intellectual pluralism. Yes, all of that. If you have mental health issues, mental issues sounded actually really insensitive, so I apologize for that. Mental health issues. If you have any mental health issues, please do not suffer in silence. If things are happening, reach out to me. And if you are in Columbia, take advantage of counseling services if you need them. I've been there. I've been diagnosed with severe depression, generalized anxiety disorder, and adult ADHD. So I've been there. I don't have some of these really, really serious things that some of you all may struggle with. But having said that, I'm still neurodivergent in some ways. And so I don't want you all to suffer. I got help when I needed it, and I want you all to do the same. I can't deal with anyone else's blood on my hands. Okay. Netiquette, we've talked about that. Just remember, don't be an ass. Okay. Religious holidays and accommodations. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. If you need accommodations, just reach out to me. If you need grievance time, just reach out to me. If you need extensions, just reach out to me. I am more than happy to offer you the accommodations that you need. And I don't have the typical, quote unquote, typical religion either. So most African Americans in this country are either Christian of some sort or Muslim of some sort. I am what you call a Noahide, Noahide. If you have never heard of Noahidism, you can Google that, look it up. It is a real thing, but there are not very many of us. Basically, to put it in a nutshell, Noahides are people who believe that the Jews are God's chosen people and that they know, they'll know when the true Messiah arrives, and that the rest of us who are not born into Judaism and don't want to convert to it and keep the commandments of Judaism, we don't have to. We can be Noahides. I don't have to be one of God's chosen people. I can just listen to God's chosen people and be ready when they say, okay, this is the Messiah. All right. Anyway, because I have a religion that's not very common, yes, I have some things that I do that a lot of people don't do. So yes, if you come from a religion that's not very common in this country, maybe it's Buddhism, maybe it's Hinduism, maybe it's Shintoism, whatever it may be, just let me know if you need some accommodations so that you can apply your faith appropriately. Non-discrimination policy. I do not want to discriminate against any of you, and I am not going to, not on the basis of race, color, national origin, ancestry, religion, sex, including gender, pregnancy, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, age, disability, protected veteran status, or any other identity thing. I am not going to discriminate against you. One thing that this cultural heritage class needs in order to work is diversity. It needs people to be different. It needs people to come from different places and have different cultures. If not, this is going to be one hell of a boring class. But I think I've got a good mix of students here. Please do not make me think otherwise. And then finally, yes, if you have disabilities, and this is something else I take seriously, I do not have any actual disabilities, no physical disabilities, and no I don't know that depression and anxiety and ADHD count as disabilities. If they do, I apologize for my ignorance. But if you have a disability, be it physical or mental, by all means, reach out to the University of Missouri Disability Center and work with them on an accommodation plan, and I will certainly honor the accommodation plan that you all come up with. Dr. Jace does not want to be ableist. I think that people who are not disabled, including myself, are inherently ableist a lot of the times. I hate to say it, but I think that's the case. So I really do need you all to, and I apologize and I'm putting that burden on you, but I'm just saying, yes, that is your burden. Reach out to the Disability Center, get that accommodation plan, and they will send that to me. And that way I can work with you so that you are as successful in this class as the people who do not have those disabilities. I want 100% success in this class. It would actually make me very happy if all of you got A's. I can't just give you all A's, but it make me happy if that's what happened. All right, let's talk about some assignments. All right, so we're going to take a closer look at some of these assignments. Hold on, my dog wants to go outside. Let me go grab him. I will be right back. All right, so let's talk about our assignments in this class, and let's make sure we can find them for one thing. Okay, so first things first, you are going to have that syllabus quiz that is going to be coming up. Okay, it is marked the 21st there. Let's go ahead and... I have to change it because they have to match. I have to change it to the 22nd. March 22nd is going to be your midterm quiz. That's when that's going to be due. The syllabus quiz is going to be pretty easy. The midterm quiz is open book and also pretty easy. It's like 4 questions on it, I believe, and they are not hard at all. The visits, okay, that's one of the things you got going is your visit to the Cultural Heritage site. That is going to be worth 10 points, and it's going to be your first assignment. I just want you to go to pretty much any Cultural Heritage site, but if you don't know what counts as a Cultural Heritage site, by all means, you can email me and ask me, hey, I want to go here. Is that a Cultural Heritage site? And I will either tell you yes or no, and if I tell you yes, then go ahead and write about it. And you will have, I didn't mean to do that. I did not want to download my, I don't necessarily like offering sample papers, but because this class is so different from any other class that's offered, I offer the sample papers because there is a chance. I built this from scratch, and because I built this class from scratch, that does mean that if there are misunderstandings, they are likely my burden. So I was just like, screw it, let's go ahead and we'll get sample papers for some of these assignments, and that way you're not left thinking, okay, well, what does he mean by that? Look at the sample paper. It will give you some sort of idea of what you need to do. Now, I do love creativity, so you don't have to actually follow the same format as the sample paper. You don't have to do it exactly how they did it, but you've got some questions that you have to answer when you visit this heritage site. And that includes what makes this place you've selected a heritage site, what type of cultural heritage is it, does this place contribute to its local constituency or community? What does it mean to the local community, and do you believe that what do you believe the future may hold for your cultural heritage place, among other questions. So simple, low-key assignment, but I want you to. This will be after your first two modules of reading, so you'll have that foundational knowledge at that point, and you'll be diving into some of the additional knowledge of the types of heritage as well. Again, we're talking tangible, intangible, or landscape / natural. And so what I want you to, So yeah, basically what I want to happen with this assignment is for you to, you can either visit a place for the first time, or hell, it can be somewhere that you visited before, but now you see it under a new light. And so if you're looking at this cultural heritage place from this cultural heritage framing of mind after you've read these readings, then yes, you should be able to put together a paper to kind of explain what's going on. And you've got a nice detailed rubric right there. And again, it'll be worth 10 points. The next assignment is going to be, I believe that, is it that mini interview? Let me see. March 17th. So, for cultures, yeah. So the March 17th paper will be the next paper, the March 17th mini interview with a cultural heritage worker. That'll be the next thing that you have to do. And if you scroll down, you will see that there are 5 questions that you have to answer, or that you have to have your interviewee answer. But you don't actually have to write an essay with this. You can totally just email somebody these 5 questions and have them send back their answers and post that. It can be that simple. And then you can do more if you want. And certainly if you want to get that A+ versus that A, then you might want to do more. But I'm just saying, yeah, as long as it can be as simple, and a lot of students really just identify somebody like a museum curator or somebody who plans cultural events or something like that, and they send that person these 5 questions. The person answers the 5 questions and they send them back. But I have had somebody, actually had a student interview and record, like they did an actual video interview and recorded their interview with the cultural heritage worker, and of course that person got an A+ because that was definitely going above and beyond the effort. So and that person did a lot of extra work within the class. They were shooing for an A+. And again, if you are not sure whether somebody counts as a cultural heritage worker, just reach out to me. We'll chop it up, discuss it, and decide whether or not that is indeed the case. All right, now if we scroll back up, back to April the 7th, that's when you'll have your top 4 most important heritages of a community paper. And in this one, you are going to identify not 1, but you're going to identify 4 significant places, significant cultural heritage places within one particular community, and talk about these things, describe what they are and how they tie together to sort of make the place that you're focused on a unique sort of place. Okay, and if that doesn't make sense, again, you'll be able to read the prompt right now. I'll go into the prompt in a little more detail as we get closer to the due date. And you do have sample papers, so it should clear this up, because I know when I say the 4 heritages paper, some of you are probably like, what is he talking about? That sounds so abstract. Again, that's why you have 2 sample papers, and I even give a little crude example of what would happen in my home county of Warren County, North Carolina. Our most important heritages are our annual Cantaloupe Festival, our annual Halawassaponi Powwow, the Norlina Museum, and the Cherry Hill Plantation, which my ancestors actually worked the Cherry Hill Plantation. Yes, folks, I grew up in the same county that my ancestors were enslaved on, and a lot of people say, a lot of Black people today do say that they would never want to go to a plantation, especially one that their ancestors worked on. Well, my father made us go when I was very, very young, and I've been there several times, and it's a very strange experience, but it's an experience that I needed, and quite frankly, I do wish more Black people would. That's a very controversial opinion in Black America, but I wish more Black people would visit plantations. But I'm somebody who wants Black people to look at a lot of the trauma stuff, and in my culture, people are kind of moving away from that. So we'll be talking about culture a lot. I hope you're not uncomfortable hearing from people who are from Black cultures or Asian cultures or things like that, okay? Because that's what makes cultural heritage great. I believe that we're all different, but that our differences aren't hindrances, but that if we understood our differences and our cultural heritages, I believe that could lead to, I don't know, I believe that world peace will be obtained when the Messiah comes. I do believe that. You don't have to believe it. I know a lot of people in higher ed are atheists, so a lot of you probably actually don't believe that. But yes, I believe that when the Messiah actually does arrive, that the Jews will be gathered back into Israel. There will be world peace. The temple will be rebuilt, so forth and so on. Having said that, until we actually have that world peace, I think that we could still have more peace among humans, among humanity, among cultures, if we all just realize that, hey, these cultures really, even though they're different, they're the same but different. But yes, every culture produces music. Yes, it might be different from culture to culture what the music is and how it sounds, but every culture produces music. Every culture produces food. Every culture produces painted art, or if not painted art, like sculptures or paintings or some sort of visual art. Those sorts of things. Most cultures, not every culture, but most cultures actually have a form of martial arts, which I practice martial arts. I do kickboxing and jiu-jitsu. So I say that to say that, yes, the more that yes, our cultures and heritages might be different, but if we look, we're all producing similar types of stuff. It's just the products look different. And I believe that if we all realize this and we see how similar our DNA is, I share 99% of my DNA with every last one of you. I don't care if you're a white person from Sweden, or if you're an Asian person from Korea, or if you are a Black person from North Carolina, or if you're a Black person from Nigeria. I share 99% of my DNA with every last one of you. And if we realize how similar we are biologically and how that plays out into us being very, very similar in our cultures as well, then I think that there would be more peace than we currently have. We would appreciate each other's humanity. So that's my hope for cultural heritage, but we'll see what happens. I really don't believe world peace will actually happen until the Messiah arrives. And so that's just my religious soapboxing there. Okay. And then finally, we will talk very quickly about your last paper, the 25-point doozy that you can substitute out if you do not want to do this paper. And again, I'll mention this in an announcement. You have until February 11th if you want to do a cultural heritage project instead, to contact me and say, hey, Dr. Jace, instead of doing the paper, can I do a cultural heritage project? This is what I want to do. You tell me, I'll either say yes, no, or let's refine it to this, and we'll refine it until we find something that works. However, if you do not want to go that route, then you will do your final paper on a naming controversy. So, usually name, or either a Confederate commemoration issue or a naming controversy. So I'm not going to go into the prompt right now because, again, we can do that as it gets closer to time. But if you want to bypass this assignment, then doing a project will be the way to go. I think that is pretty much it. Let me make sure that as far as announcements, what do we have? Our guest speakers, again, I do have to let you all know that Stuart Hines will no longer be available, and that saddens me because this Glamour presentation is actually a really, really big deal. And then one thing, there are, you can have cultures that go beyond race, right? Like, don't get me wrong, there are cultures that are kind of like ethnically bound. So like, there is an Italian culture, for instance, and Italian people are part of it. There is a Black American culture, okay, an African American culture, if you will, and Black people who are descendant from slaves in this country are a part of that. But then you have cultures that encompass a lot of races and ethnicities, and there is, in my opinion, now if you believe I'm wrong, tell me, we can have an open dialogue, but in my opinion, there is a culture surrounding the LGBTQ plus community. I believe that there's a culture that surrounds that, and there are a lot of other subcultures in this country that are multi-ethnic, including I hate that this is the example that came up, but the first example that came to my head was skinheads. Not every skinhead is a Nazi. What happened was the Nazi skinheads kind of took over the whole skinhead identity, but before skinhead stuff got associated with Nazism, there are actually skinheads of all races, black and Asian and white skinheads right here in the United States, and they did what they do, and that was a multi-ethnic subculture. I do think that, you know, emu and goth and all of that, hip hop, those are multi-ethnic subcultures. Okay, so anyway, I say all that to say that yes, there is, I believe, again, a LGBTQ plus subculture, and so I really enjoy this presentation, but unfortunately we won't have it this semester. Steph from UT, she'll be coming to talk to us again about heritage tourism, and Josh will be talking to us, as I mentioned earlier, about the Library of Congress Sound Archival Project. All right. And those will be from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Adjust for your time zone. All right. Let me make sure I get this all done. We're at an hour. Let me make sure that I get everything else said that I need to say within the next 10 minutes. And again, I hope you sped this up. So the last thing that I do want to say is, and this is something that I tell every class, but it seems to be less of an issue with the cultural heritage class because we're already talking about culture. So I'm going to drop this big old bombshell on you all. I'm black. Okay. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but yeah, I'm black. The reason I say that, and I know y'all can tell, I know y'all know, but the reason I say that is because this goes into teaching and teaching evaluations and bias and those sorts of things. So what I do want to say is when I first got to Missouri in 2018, I had come here from actually South Carolina. I've been living in South Carolina for 7 years. I'm from North Carolina and lived in Virginia as well. But immediately before moving here, I was living in South Carolina. Now, when you talk about the South has a lot more black people than the Midwest. That's just how it is. Especially in rural areas. Only the South has a significant number of black rural people in this country. You won't find that in the Midwest or in rural California or rural Pacific Northwest or rural Northeast or Alaska or Hawaii. The black rural people are all pretty much in the American South, okay? And the reason I bring that up is to say that when I was teaching at the University of South Carolina while I was working on my degree, my teaching evaluations were excellent. They were excellent. And the reason I think they were excellent is because the students in the South are used to black people, and they're used to black people being black people, and they're used to black Southerners and our culture and how we behave and all of that. And so it was seamless. I was just able to get in that classroom and teach. More than likely, I was not the first black teacher that the student had, all of those sorts of things. That all changed when I came to Missouri. When I came to Missouri, yes, even though this is a graduate program, I was the first black professor that a lot of my Midwestern students had. And a lot of my Midwestern students who come from Missouri and Kansas and Iowa and Nebraska and these places did not grow up around black people. Like if you are, I don't know about those other states, but when I talk about Missouri, since I live here, yeah. Kansas City, St. Louis, Jefferson City, Columbia, to a lesser extent, Springfield, Hannibal, and one other that I'm forgetting down in the Boot Hill. Those are the places that have black people in this state, okay? But when you are talking about places outside of that, you will not see a lot of black people in Missouri. Oh, Mexico was another place. Mexico, Missouri has a decent established black population, I should say. Sedalia as well. But a lot of, it's actually high in Missouri. If you have a place that is at least 5% black in Missouri, that's actually considered pretty high. Whereas I'm from a rural area in North Carolina that is damn close to 100% black. Okay. So that's the difference. And when I got here, people, I taught the same way in Missouri that I taught in South Carolina, and my evaluations the first year were trash. People were like, he's abrasive, he's aggressive, he's defensive, he makes me nervous, I don't feel comfortable asking him questions. And my feelings were hurt that first semester. And then the second semester when I saw it, I was like, okay, maybe my feelings shouldn't be hurt because maybe I'm not as bad. This is starting to sound racial. And that's the truth that I took. And sure enough, once I started code switching, because and that's the term. If you don't know the term code switching, just Google it. You'll find out what that means. And I'll admit, that's what I do in this role. The blackness that I was able to kind of be my natural self in the South, or that I'm with my coworkers at CISL or with my family or friends, I couldn't be that in the teaching role. It was too black, I think, for for the students here. So I changed my approach, and what I'm gonna do is ask you all to meet me halfway. I changed my approach. I'm doing my best Wayne Brady impersonation. I want to make sure that my blackness doesn't scare anybody like the boogeyman in this course here. And I want us to just kind of get along and, just go through this class and have fun. And so what I'm going to say is, I would like for you all to meet me halfway, okay? Please meet me halfway. I've made adjustments. So that I'm not as abrasive as I was described in my first year here. And so I would like for you all to recognize that the adjustments have been made. I've softened my approach. I've softened my tone. And so what I want you all to do is, if you still find yourself being nervous about me, ask yourself, is it because of who I am and how I'm coming across, or is it because of how I look? Because quite frankly, I have had also some students tell me that they actually think I'm quote unquote softer or more easy to deal with than some of the other professors. I won't name them, but some of the other professors in CISL, I've been told that I'm actually more laid back than them. But that first semester that I was here, people were scared to death of me. Okay. And I don't want that. I want you all to be comfortable. And so I do things to make sure you all are comfortable. But what I'm going to ask in return is that you return the favor by examining if your discomfort for me, if you have a discomfort for me, is it because of how I look, or is it because of what I'm actually doing? And if it's because of how I look, that doesn't make you a bad person. You're just unexposed. But what you can probably do is try to be better. Try to be like, well, yeah, this is my first black teacher and I come from an all white town, but still I'm going to listen to what he has to say, and I'm going to participate in this class, and we're all going to have a good time. If I can get everybody in that mode, if I could get everybody there, things would be so much easier. But my teaching evaluations have gone up. And again, I think it's due to code switching. And I do, and again, we are going to be fine if you allow us to be fine. So if you allow us to be fine, then yeah, there won't be anything for you to be nervous about. It'll just be little old Dr. Jace, and you're going to talk to me and I'm going to talk to you, and we'll have discussions when we need to, and we'll get through this class successfully, and you will learn and I will learn, and we'll all be better people for it. Okay. Cause that's all I want. All right. So that is everything. Thank you for watching the 67 minutes of this. Again, I hope you sped it up. I showed you how at the beginning. And yeah, we will see you next week with another check-in video. But this next week's check-in video will be significantly shorter. In fact, usually my check-in videos are around 20 minutes, and then you speed them up. But next week's, because you just had a 77, 78-minute one, 79-minute one, I am going to have one that's probably going to be about 5 to 10 minutes next week. All right, you all take care of yourselves. Wait, I said you all take care of yourselves. That is not how I close my videos. And those of you who have had me before, y'all know that. I am sorry. I am Dr. Jace, and let's begin this race. Let's go. Take care.